Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Lexi, and I am so freaking excited to be here and to finally be able to film a video for you guys. I have an update for you guys that I'm gonna film tomorrow, but I could not bear to not film something for you guys for the month of October. I'm gonna tell you guys everything that's been going on in my update as far as like why I haven't been able to film. Things are good. I'm doing really good. I'm a little sick right now. It's like the end of it. I feel so bad that I've been gone for so long. I think this is the longest time. It's been like 3 months, but anyway, I just want to get started. I just want to get into the video. So this is going to be a paranormal update of my home and of my mom's home. The last video that I had filmed, it was a thrift with me and set up my altar video. I feel like you guys can kind of see that I was starting to dabble in like witchcraft, and not for like doing spells to try to get a man or try to get money. It was mostly for protection. Like that was the main thing, that I wanted to protect myself, protect my home, protect my loved ones. And then it went from that to like self-love, glamour magic, stuff like that. So I started doing a lot of like protection spells, and it really started feeling a lot more peaceful in here, a lot more quiet. My brother was noticing that it was a lot quieter because in the beginning, he first moved in, something was bugging him. Something was really bothering him and like waking him up in the middle of the night. There's a lot of noises and he was really freaked out. Now, what happens next is my fault, 100%. So I started getting more and more into it. I started doing more research. I started connecting with certain spirits and deities. I started following a lot of TikTokers that were working with Lilith, Hecate, and I very naively thinking that I could do that, even though I had only started maybe like a month or two prior. And immediately I felt very connected to Hecate. She is the goddess of the underworld, always has dogs, like black dogs surrounding her. I just felt very connected to that because I consider myself like a moon witch. So a lot of things resonated when I was reading up on her. Immediately I was like, I want to work with her. So I made an offering. I lit some candles and I did some spell work to ask Hecate for help and if she wanted to work with me. Everything went as planned. I did a lot of research before doing any of this, seeing what kind of offerings she liked, what she didn't like, how you would know. Everything was fine for the most part. So after like an hour of doing this spell, I go to turn to walk out of my room and I hear the table move. When you have a table that like one of the legs is like broken, it sounded like that started tipping over a couple times, like I looked over and I saw that stuff was moving. I'm like, what the hell? I turn around again and it makes like a bang noise. It kind of sounded like if it was like tipped over and then it just fell, if that makes sense. I checked the table, I made sure everything was fine, nothing fell off. A few days later, it's been like 7, 8 o'clock, so it wasn't like bedtime yet, but me and Feather were in bed. We're chilling, I'm on my phone, and I start hearing bangs, just random bangs in the house. And they were everywhere. They're in the living room, they're in the room, in the bathroom, and it sounded like pipes. Like what an old house creaking and like settling sounds like. That's what it sounded like. I don't have pipes in here, it's an RV. I kind of looked around, I'm like, after a while it stopped. Thought it was weird, but I'm like, whatever. Like 2 days after that, my brother was working a lot at this time, so he wasn't here at night. We're in bed, I start hearing what sounds like pats on the bed. Like something's like, and I'm weirded out. Feather looked over and she was looking at it too, but she didn't react, she didn't bark. So I'm like, well, if she's not barking, then I guess it's not that big of a deal. A couple days after that, something else happened. So one of the things that I kept reading up on was saying to pray to the deity as if you're just talking to a friend, and ask for signs. So one of the things I kept asking was for a sign that she was with me and that she accepted my offer to help me and to work with me. That same day that I had asked for a sign, 1:30 in the morning, it's me and Feather, we're by ourselves, my brother's not here. We're in the room. I start hearing high heels, walking around outside of the RV, outside of my room, and walking around like this. I kept hearing that. I have a huge window back there, so I looked out the window, no one's there. I look at the cameras that's facing right there, I don't see anyone. I'm like, what the fuck is that? But I lay back down, and like 2 minutes later, I hear it again. It's just going back and forth, and then I hear it come this way up to the door. So I stand up, and I swear, I'm not making this up, okay? I swear. I start hearing the fucking high heels in here, okay? I start hearing the high heels start from there, like from the living room, all the way down, back and forth, and back and forth, and I kept hearing that. After that, I just stopped hearing it altogether. I couldn't hear it anymore. So I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm just gonna forget about it. Woke up the next day, everything's fine. And then that night, I had sleep paralysis. Right before I went to sleep, I was already feeling kind of weird, and I can't explain it, but I just felt odd. I felt off. I go to lay down, and I start falling asleep really quickly. I don't usually fall asleep fast. It takes a while. So I start falling asleep really fast, and my brain's like just shutting off, and I start hearing breathing. It wasn't Feather's breathing because she was under the blanket, but I start hearing this breathing as I'm trying to fall asleep. And then I go into the sleep paralysis. In the sleep paralysis, the only thing I can remember was that I was in my room. It was super dark, and I saw a head floating. I saw a head floating, and the only thing I can make out was that it was a feminine person. It was a woman, and it had something black over its face. This sounds so fucking cliche, I swear, but this is what happened. It had like a veil over its face that was completely black, but I could tell that it was a woman, and it was just the head. The next thing I remember was Feather barking. It woke me up. I was like, oh my god, what the fuck? That kind of woke me up out of it. We laid back down and went to sleep, and that was fine. And then the next morning, I was like, oh my god, that was fucking weird. That was super fucking creepy. So while all of that was happening, my brother was kind of going through it too. And I was still doing protection, cleanses, stuff like that. In my mind, in the beginning, I was like, this is Hecate, like, this is her. But then at the end, I just started feeling like this, I don't think that's what that was. And whatever was happening was scaring me. And it was scaring my brother too. A couple of things that were happening to my brother was still like the noises that he would hear, like the pots and pans. He heard the banging, and then he heard the door shutting, like the pantry door shutting. After that stuff happened, I kind of stopped trying to ask for help from Hecate or from any deity. And I was just mainly doing stuff for protection and self-love. Like, that was the main thing that I was doing. Since then, honestly, things have been really good. I've been doing like my little rituals, and that's just like cleansing everything, getting any stagnant energy out of here, cleansing ourselves, and like mopping the floors with that wash that I made. So now I'm going to talk about some stuff that has happened at my mom's house. If you guys haven't seen, I think it was my last paranormal update that I had talked about my mom moving into this pretty like nice apartment. A couple weird things had happened. Just a quick recap if you guys haven't seen that video. The first time that I ever slept over at my mom's new apartment, I was woken up in the middle of the night by someone screaming, "Who?" in my ear. I woke up a little bit later to take Feather to go to the bathroom, and when I was walking outside, my brother opens his door to his room. This is my little brother. I'm like super fucking hard and crazy, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm taking Feather to go outside to go to the bathroom." He's like, "Were you banging on my door?" And I was like, "No, why would I bang on your door like in the middle of the night?" And as we're talking about it, my mom comes out. I was like, that's fucking weird that like somebody was banging on your door, because right before this, I was woken up by something saying, "Who?" in my ear. And my mom's like, "Stop talking about this stuff, stop it." So that happened, and then another day that I was over there, it was me and my sister and my brother. My mom has crucifixes in her place. and one of the crucifix that has never ever fallen was on the wall, like the nail was there, and it came crashing down and fell face first and made a loud ass bang. And we're like, what the hell? So that's what I talked about in that last video. So some other stuff has happened. Again, my mom was very quick to be like, stop talking about it, my house is not haunted. It went from that to like, can you please come over and like cleanse the house? Like, I feel, you know, some weird energy. Her and my little brother say that when there's a lot of drama going on, or like when one of them is stressed out, that's when the energy starts ramping up and the paranormal stuff starts happening. I went over there a couple times, I cleansed, everything was fine. And then my little brother invited one of his little friends over who was going through a lot of shit. She had a lot of bad energy, and some stuff happened. So the first couple things that were happening was that the doors would slam on their own, the cabinets in the kitchen would slam on their own, the lights were turning on and off, there was a lot of knocking in the kitchen and in my mom's room, I think in my little brother's room too. We had a dog named Twinkie, and he passed away a couple months ago, and he was my very first dog. Like, he was my dog. And then when I was like going through like my drug stuff, I left him with my mom. So he passed away, and both my mom and my little brother say that they feel him sometimes too. They feel him like run past them, and they feel like his fur. Yeah, it's gonna be the first year that we don't have Twinkie. I had to stop for a second. Oh my god, I did not think I was gonna get emotional, but they do feel him. I don't think they've seen him, but they have felt him there. So one of the weirder things that happened, my little brother had this friend over. They were both sleeping in my little brother's room. And when I say little brother, he's like 22, 23. Yes, my younger brother was in his room with this little girlfriend. My mom was sleeping in the living room. She had fallen asleep. She woke up in the middle of the night to footsteps. She wakes up a little bit, she looks around, and she doesn't see anything. She doesn't see anyone. And then she keeps hearing it. She wakes up and she's like, what is that? She thinks maybe it's the cat. She goes in my brother's room, and they're both sleeping, and his cat is sleeping in there with him. Noise. She goes back to sleep. She lays down. She continues to hear these footsteps, and then she starts hearing a woman's voice saying, Susan, Susan, where are you? Susan, where are you? At the same time she hears this voice, she continues to hear the footsteps. She's looking around, she doesn't see anything, and she stops hearing it. That's one of the things that really creeped her out, and that's when my mom knew, like, there's something going on. And she called me, she's like, come clean the fucking house, girl. So something else that happened, my stepdad, who, he's like a dad to me, his dad passed away a couple months ago. The night of his passing, woke up in the middle of the night because he heard something. He looked over and saw his dad standing in the room. There's like light around him, and that he doesn't look the same. He looked younger, he looked rejuvenated and happy, healthy, because he was very sick. As quickly as he sees him, he disappears. That was the first experience that happened. A couple weeks later, we go to his funeral, and at the funeral, they had like the big poster where it has like his pictures and stuff. One of the pictures was of him in the present, like right before he passed away, and the other picture was him like 20-30 years ago when he was in the Mexican army. So he looked young. Tony said that when he came to him and showed himself to him, that he looked like the second picture where he was really young. They took that big picture with them. So they set it up in the living room on this big easel that they had. 2 nights later, Tony says that he has a dream that he's in the kitchen making food. He walks past the living room and he sees his dad come out of the picture and is just standing there. And Tony's dad turns around. He said that he doesn't look like his young self anymore. He said that this time when he saw him, he looked like a zombie. Like he looked dead. So Tony's dad is looking at the picture. He asks Tony, why do you have my picture here? Tony says, we got it from the funeral because you passed away. And Tony asked him, how are you doing? How are you feeling? He would always say, todo bien, like everything's fine. That's what he said to him. He said, todo bien, mijo, todo bien. Tony asked him, like, where are you coming from? Like, how is it over there? How are they treating you? They're treating me well. They talked for a little bit. Tony told my little brother, like, film this, film this. And when my little brother comes to film it, the dad went back into the picture. They were like shocked. He was like, oh my God. That experience happened. The next day I came over. So I'm hanging out with them. Tony starts telling me about the experience, and then he tells me about the first experience that happened where he saw him the day after he passed. So he's telling me this. The big picture is behind me. I'm looking at them like this. We're talking. All of a sudden, I see something moving in my peripheral. And my mom's looking at me this way. I went like this. I was like, and I looked over. I saw his dad in my peripheral. I saw him in the corner of my eye. A split second, and when I looked, he was gone. So I thought that was pretty crazy, but I thought that was a pretty nice experience. So that's everything that's happened at my mom's house. That's pretty much everything that's happened. All that stuff that had happened was pretty much after that altar video. Things have been pretty good. The light will turn on and off very randomly. I'll hear little noises here and there, like this cabinet has opened like once or twice, but for the most part the past few months have been quiet, and I'm hoping to keep it that way. I do all of that. I cleanse myself. That's been working for me. I've been feeling really good. I've missed you guys so much. You guys have no freaking idea. I really hope that you guys don't think I'm like taking advantage of you guys by like uploading here and there and then just going ghost. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are having a good holiday. I love you guys and be safe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.